So I want to create space for all this because I believe that God is doing something significant in the church, the Big C church. But there's also this tension of merging in the church where God he's pushing us into uncomfortable spaces that involve multi-ethnic conversation. Now, I don't believe every church needs to be multi-ethnic, but I think we need to be engaged in multi-ethnic on a couple levels. And I'm gonna drop this on you because I want you to hear the framework that I use. Those who are discerning, you are multi-ethnic, or you're a person of color in a majority white space, and you feel called to multi-ethnic. You're maybe a white leader, a pastor, leader, whatever the case may be, and you're learning to lead multi-ethnic ministry or want that, or to the churches who are like, we white, we black, we whatever, and we want to be multi-ethnic. Here's some framework that I think could help all of us. One, if you feel called to multi-ethnic ministry, it starts with a multi-ethnic life. Like, you got to have a circle of people who don't look like you. I'm not talking about like, not tokenism, I'm talking like you have some genuine relationships that you are willing to develop with these people, where you're not just talking about race issues. You're not just sitting at the table talking about, you're not doing that all the time. It's like we both like Starbucks, so we going to get Starbucks, and I'm hanging with my girl or I'm hanging with my guy. You gotta develop some multi-ethnic relationships on this ground level. I believe all of us at some point in our lives, no matter the demographic of our community, like, we need to develop true, authentic multi-ethnic relationships with people on this ground level. And it starts with, hey man, I know we're different, but man, I want to get to know you. I want to know your story. I want to know who you are, man. Let's hang and talk. And many people have this already. I mean, we find it playing ball in the gym. We find it, we find it in various spaces where we do have coworkers. Where's my home girl? That's my girl. That's where we start with multi-ethnic relationships. And then we need multi-ethnic churches, I believe, that God's trying to do something significant in the multi-ethnic church. But that's not the only place he's working. He's working in monoethnic churches. He's working in the black church powerfully. He's working in the white church. I'm not throwing all this in a bucket as if God's not at work. Every church is not going to be multi-ethnic. But I really want to contend for where God has placed you. Look around. And if your context is multi-ethnic, I believe your church should be welcoming to all those ethnicities, period. So let's say your church doesn't have that, and you're a white church, a black church, Hispanic church, then I believe on that level, the church should have multi-ethnic relationships with other churches. If I'm a black church, I'm in some sort of fellowship with my white brothers and sisters. Should the relationship be warranted? If I'm a white church, Hispanic, I'm in relationship with some other church somehow to just say, hey, this is how we begin healing some of the racial disparities, because the kingdom is coming together. Now, I get it. There's a lot of complexities in that. It's nasty, yo. I'm talking, you haven't even gotten into denominationalism. You haven't even gotten to political ideologies. I mean, I know some churches out here that are just like, they're full-blown political powerhouses. So a black church is not going to sit with a church that's sitting up there talking about some, whatever. It's just not going to happen. But should God create space and give us grace to have relationships on these levels, though I believe we need to be seeking out those relationships. I believe our churches should be in community with other churches. Our church is in community with a pretty much all-white Presbyterian church. Our church is in community, and I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, we're not preaching something that we're not going to live out. We're in relationship with these other spaces that don't look like us. And we understand that your church is not going to look like my church. Your church is going to be that. But at the church level, we're at least going to fellowship together and say, God, we're committed to unity. Then you go from this level to the church level, and then I believe in the pastoral leader level within the confines of the church, there should be multi-ethnic relationship. Pastors, if your circle is all white, all black, whatever, and your church is all white, and your pastoral leader friends are all white, when disparities around race and inequality hit our culture, which they always will, you don't have any framework for how to engage it. And then oftentimes you'll call somebody to say, how do I bandage this situation? When in fact, had we been in relationship from the onset, you would have known, at least to some degree, or had some sort of rapport to even have the empathy to engage some of these issues in our culture. So you gotta have multi-ethnic relationships. All of us, I believe all of us need to. Our churches need to be multi-ethnic if the context the church is in calls for it. If not, if it's a monocultural church, then these churches should have relationship with other churches who don't look like them to some degree. Do something, a serve project or something. And then our pastoral leaders need to be in multi-ethnic relationship, because our communities are becoming more multi-ethnic, and you've got to get into the face of other people who don't look like you so that you can then begin to trickle that down to the churches in the local level. So that's a framework that I like to use for how we engage multi-ethnic on the base level. But what I want to do with this podcast, because I'm done, is I want to create space where we can continue these conversations. I want to create space where we can dive deeper into, I'm gonna bring awareness to it, and I'm gonna add value to, I'll add value to your life in terms of multi-ethnic ministry, pastoral ministry for leaders, church ministry for churches, et cetera, et cetera. And there are a ton of resources out there from other great leaders who are doing multi-ethnic that I learned from and that I gleaned from. But then I wanna actually take another step with those who really feel called. I got a couple opportunities that I want you to prayerfully consider. One is our Multi-Ethnic Leaders Network. And this is for a few different people. This is for those leaders who say, I want to learn how to lead a multi-ethnic church. I want all the things you're saying. God has been speaking to me. It resonates with me. I just don't know where to start. Well, we're creating a space. We're creating a network where you can actually enter into other leaders who are multi-ethnic leaders or desire to be, and we can really have these conversations together. You need that. You really need that. This is also for my persons of color, these leaders who lead multi-ethnic organizations. And you say, I need a space to be really me and to really hash out the complexities that come with multi-ethnic ministry, because there's a lot of complexities that are interwoven into it. And I need a space to really workshop these things. That's where we're going to help you at in this Multi-Ethnic Leaders Network. And then I just want to offer space. I want to offer myself for any kind of conversation or coaching or whatever you need. All of our information, we're going to throw it up here on the screen. But I just want to give you an opportunity to know that there is a place that we are carving out by God's Spirit where you can come and learn and grow and develop, a place where others are having the same exact conversations and complexities. You don't have to deal with it alone. I remember going to a multi-ethnic leaders roundtable, and it was the first time that I felt like, man, I found a tribe. Man, I had never felt that before. Folks, leaders in a room that felt like we're engaging some of the same core issues. And so we just really feel called to create that space for you. So connect with us, connect with the podcast, and continue to share and show love. But we're grateful for what God's about to do, and we can do it together. In Jesus' name, let's go.